Hello and welcome to the class. My name's Daniel and today we're going to be looking at part 4 of the listening. If you have a question for us at the end of the class, you can go to the top of the screen and click on the chat icon to send us a message. This is the first of 2 classes and will last just over 20 minutes. First, we're going to talk about paraphrasing and what it is, and then we're going to talk about how it's used in the listening part 4. So by the end of the session, you'll be more aware of how to approach listening part 4 questions. During the class, you'll be asked to answer questions. These will appear just below the video. I'll tell you when you need to answer them, and I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds for each one. So let's start by understanding some terms. We want to look at what is paraphrasing. Well, paraphrasing is using synonyms, which are words that have the same meaning as another word. For example, amazing and fantastic. They both mean very good. So they are synonyms of each other. And using word families. And these are words that are related to each other, but just the difference is the word class. So if it's a verb or a noun. For example, the adjective happy and the noun happiness. So let's see some examples now. Firstly, you can see here, we've got the word many. Well, another word for many is a number of. They have the same meaning. Another example could be the verb arise. Another word for arise could be emerge. So those 2 words are synonyms as well. Another could be traditions. The noun traditions, you could have another noun with the same meaning, which is customs. So they're related. So these are all synonyms. That's what we mean by synonyms. Now, let's look at what we mean by word families. So, for example, we can take the word meditation here, which is a noun, and we can turn it into a verb. So we can say meditate is the verb of meditation. And then we can turn it into an adjective. We can say meditative is the adjective form. So they're different words, but they're all related. And it's just their word type or word class that's the same. Another could be the verb practice. You can see it's got an S in it. And the noun practice, the same pronunciation, but it has a C in it when you write it. But they are part of a word family as well. So to come back to that question, what is paraphrasing? Well, paraphrasing is using synonyms and word families to change the words in a sentence so that it looks different but has the same meaning. It's really important. It looks different, but it has the same meaning. For example, mindfulness is a practice that arose from a number of Eastern meditative traditions. So we saw some of these words. We saw before practice, we saw arose, we saw a number of, we saw the word meditative, and we saw traditions. Now we can take some synonyms and we can change this sentence so it has the same meaning, but it looks different. For example, so we've still got mindfulnesses. We've still got a practice, so we haven't changed that, but we've changed arose, we've changed it to emerged. And a number of, we've got many. Eastern meditative traditions, we've got cultures for traditions. And meditation, we've changed meditative to meditation because the grammar's changed. And then in Eastern, we've put in the East. So what we've done here is we've paraphrased the whole sentence. We've used synonyms and we've used word families to change the words but keep the meaning the same. Well, now let's see how that is used in the IELTS listening. So we'll start with a task. So you would get a task that looks something like this, and you can see that it says complete the notes below. And here you've got the notes, you've got a heading, you've got a date, you've got dates, and then you've got these sentences that are missing some words here. And this is what you need to complete. Now, to do that, the first thing we need to do before we start listening is to find the key words here. So let's do that. So what are key words? Well, keywords could be nouns and noun phrases. So let's first find the nouns and noun phrases here. Well, the first we've got is Asian countries. We've also got handful. We could put tourists as well. We've got John Kabat-Zinn is a noun, it's a person's name. And then we've got mindfulness. So those are the nouns and noun phrases. So those are some of the key words. Then we could look at verbs and verb phrases. For example, we've got returned to their countries. That's a verb phrase there. Talked at university is another verb phrase. Founded is a verb, so we'd want to highlight that. And then we've got making is another verb here. So there's some more keywords. Then we'd also think about adjectives. So there's just one adjective here, which is more famous, but it's an important part of it. And finally, we've got adverbs and adverb phrases. For example, just and apart from. These are both adverbs. So these are what we mean by key words. So that's step one when answering a listening question, is you have to look at it and highlight the key words. So we've just highlighted the keywords and here they are underlined again. Now, what I would like you to do is just see if you can match some of these keywords to synonyms. So if you look at question 1 below the video, you'll see this first sentence. And I'd like you to match the underlined keywords to one of these phrases. I'm just going to give you 10 to 15 seconds to try that. Okay, so, well, for this first one, we could say just would be exclusively. They have the same meaning. Asian countries, well, we've got India, Thailand, and Japan. They're synonyms. Apart from, we could have the verb save for, would be a synonym for that. And a handful of would be a few. So they're all the synonyms for that one. Now look at question 2 and see if you can do the same for this sentence. Again, I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so let's look here. Well, we'll start with the word tourists. Well, a synonym for tourists would be travelers. They have the same meaning. Then we've got returned to their countries. The same meaning as went back home. Talked at university. We could say gave lectures. And founded has the same meaning as set up. So those were the correct synonyms for the second sentence. Now look at question 3 below the video and try and answer the third sentence there. Okay, well, the only word there, John Kabat-Zinn, doesn't have a paraphrase. It's a person's name, so it will never have a synonym. Like there's not a synonym for your name or my name. My name's Daniel, so everyone calls me Daniel. There's not a synonym for that. Same with John Kabat-Zinn, there's no way to paraphrase that. Mindfulness, again, is the general topic here. So that is probably not going to be paraphrased. Usually that's just used as it is. But here, making more famous, this is the key part we needed to find a synonym for. So make more famous is popularization, has the same meaning as that. So that was the correct answer. So it's important to, after you've highlighted keywords, to think of synonyms for them. Because when you're listening, the task won't just play the same words from the sentences here or from the question. What it will do is it will use synonyms, and you have to listen for the synonyms to try to find the correct answer. So if you're just listening for these words here, you probably won't hear them. So you probably will get the question wrong. So you need to think of synonyms and try to listen for those synonyms. Now, after you've highlighted the keywords and you've thought of synonyms for them, the next step is to try to predict or guess what words or what types of words are missing from the gaps. And you can see in the instructions here, it says complete the notes below, use no more than 2 words and or a number. So no more than 2 words means maximum 2 words and a number. So you could maybe have a number as well. So then we want to read the sentence and see if we can think what type of word it is. Is it a verb? Is it an adjective we need? Is it a noun? And in this first one, we can see just in Asian countries, apart from a handful of, and then we'd want to try to think, what do we need here? Well, after a handful, if you remember from the previous slide, means a few. And a few would always go before a noun. So we definitely want a noun here in number 1. At number 2, it says tourists return to their countries and taught at university and founded. Well, founded is a verb. So probably after the verb, we want a noun. But we can be a bit more specific with this because founded, there's only a few things you can found. So you could found a company, you could found a business, you could maybe found a school or a university. But it probably has to be some type of business that we're looking at here. So here we can be a bit more specific with our prediction. We can say, yes, it's a noun, but it's maybe a business of some type. Then if we look at this third one, we've got John Kabat-Zinn is. Now this is usually is followed by one of 2 things. It could be an adjective, which might make sense here, or it could be a passive form of the verb. So one of those 2 things we need here. So we can be quite specific. We either need a verb or an adjective in this sentence. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you the recording, and I'd like you to look at questions 4 to 6 below the video and listen and try to complete the notes.
This practice was, for thousands of years, exclusively an Eastern idea, really up until the late 60s, early 70s, save for a few early Western adventurers that went out to places like India, Thailand, or Japan to seek out other forms of knowledge. It was these travelers who then came back home and gave lectures at universities or set up meditation centers that sowed the first seeds of mindfulness on Western soils. However, the person most often credited with the popularization of mindfulness in America is one Jon Kabat-Zinn. In 1979, Kabat-Zinn founded the Stress Reduction Clinic out of Massachusetts University, and it was there that he developed his mindfulness-based stress reduction course, or MBSR. The course aimed to help people deal with a number of issues, including depression, anxiety, stress, chronic pain, and other such physical and psychological issues. The course is still practiced in institutions across the world today.
Okay, so we're going to look at the answers one by one here. Let's start with the first one. So we're going to go through the synonyms here. So you can see we've got the word just was a keyword, and we can see in here we've got the word exclusively. Then we've got Asian countries. You could have the word Eastern would be a synonym for that, or India, Thailand, or Japan. Of course, Asian countries. Then we've got apart from, we've got save for, and a handful of, we said, was a few. So the answer here has to come after a handful of or a few. And we've got early Western adventurers here. Now remember that it says no more than 2 words. So we can't have all 3 of these. And we need a noun here. So definitely we need adventurers, and we'll take the word Western. So the correct answer here would be Western adventurers. So tourists returned to their countries and taught at university and founded what? Well, we can read here. It says, it was these travelers, we've got travelers, same as tourists, who then came back home, returned to their countries, and gave lectures, taught at university, and it's got at universities, and founded, we've got set up. And so the correct answer is this. They set up meditation centers. So as we said, it had to be some kind of business. So meditation centers is the correct answer for that one. Now let's look at the final one. So we've got Jon Kabat-Zinn is, and we needed this, making mindfulness more famous. So it says, however, the person most often credited with, we said making famous is the popularization, we've got mindfulness, of mindfulness. Jon Kabat-Zinn, the synonym here, the person, and we've got his name here, Jon Kabat-Zinn. So is Jon Kabat-Zinn. So what's the verb here? Well, it says the person most often credited with. So that's what would be the answer here. He is credited with making mindfulness more famous. So we can see here how it's using synonyms, paraphrasing in the listening. And that's really what we need to listen for. Now remember, if you have a question, you can go to the top of your screen and click on the chat icon to send us a message. Now take part 2 of the class, and remember to do the online activities and exercises. Thank you for joining the class. We'll see you again. Bye.